Perseus was unaware that the instant he turned around, Zog's gaze followed him, fixing on the back of his head until the door closed. Is the idea of integrating adventurers yours? Zog, you seem to have done something valuable. You really think highly of it. It just means I have to draw my sword a few more times. For 20 years, I've swung my sword no less than 10,000 times a day. Do you think I care about this little bit of fatigue? Please forgive me, Your Highness, Robert said in a low voice. Since things have come to this, we have no choice but to take those people into consideration. Zog cracked his neck, glancing at Robert, who was kneeling on the ground, not daring to look up. Your most important task now is to manage the security of Eagle Peak City and prevent some fools from causing trouble. At the same time, keep an eye on things and make a list of all the new faces that have entered the city recently. I don't want any mistakes. I understand, Robert said. I don't need to emphasize the importance of this matter, Zog said coldly. The Emperor praised your abilities to me, and I therefore have certain expectations of you. So if you mess things up, replacing the city lord of Eagle Peak City will be the easiest punishment for you. Robert remained silent. Similarly, if things go well, you will be promoted to another level, Zog said. The Emperor has already prepared a new official position and the title of Earl for you. It's just a matter of whether you have the ability to take it. Your Majesty and His Highness the Prince, please wait and see, Robert said. We will, Zog said softly. You can go and get back to work. Robert stood up. I will have my son Daniel arrange for His Highness the Crown Prince and His Highness the Prince's lodgings later. No need to trouble you. We'll stay at the Earl's mansion, Zog said. Andre was stunned for a moment, then became excited. But, according to His Majesty's arrangement, Robert looked troubled. Charles and I are old friends who haven't seen each other for many years. Zog frowned slightly. Yes. Robert left the office respectfully. Andre, Count Murphyat and I have a lot to say to each other. You don't need to stand here waiting, Zog said. Eagle Peak City is very lively, and it is one of the lands you will rule in the future. As the Crown Prince, you should take this opportunity to experience the local customs and culture. Yes, Uncle. Andre nodded. Have Payne accompany you. Listen to his arrangements, big or small. Remember that protecting your own safety is your top priority. Do not engage in any conflicts rashly. If a conflict is unavoidable, Zog paused. Tell Payne that no matter how many people are on the other side, do not let any of them escape. Kill them all. Yes. Andre was somewhat reluctant. He really wanted to travel around Eagle Peak City and see more of the scenery that he couldn't see in the capital, but he didn't want anyone to follow him. However, he also knew that his uncle would never allow him to do so. He had no choice but to do as he was told. Andre left. As soon as he left, Zog looked at Count Murphyat and smiled. This smile was completely different from the one Perseus had seen. If Andre hadn't left yet, he might have been shocked, his worldview instantly overturned. Count Murphyat chuckled. I knew it would be you, so I wasn't worried about it at all, and I didn't bother with it. You seem to have aged, Zog sighed. When we met 2 years ago, you didn't have so many wrinkles when you smiled. Why do you have to bring this up? Count Murphy glared. Who doesn't get old? Can you? You're older than me, and you have just as many wrinkles. Humph. Acting like a woman, so sensitive about her age. So snotted. There's nothing we can do. We're not young anymore. When we're young, we look forward to maturity, but once we're truly mature, it's the beginning of our decline. Every day we live is one day less, and we don't even know when our hair will be completely covered in white. Sigh. Shut up. Zog rolled his eyes. Let's change the subject. Is that girl from the Urflin family at your house? Yes, said Count Murphyat. You should not dwell on what happened back then. Treat her as a complete stranger, or I'm afraid you'll be in danger, Zog said. The Emperor's attitude toward the Urflin family is very firm. I'm probably the only person in the entire empire who dares to talk to you about this. I know the Emperor very well. He's been like this since he was a child. He will do whatever he wants, no matter what. He even killed Modia, so he doesn't care about killing one more like you. Then let him do the killing, Count Murphyat said coldly. I also want to take this opportunity to ask him how he could bring himself to do it. Considering I'm about to die, perhaps he'll tell me the truth. Why are you doing this to yourself? So excited. Do you know the answer? Count Murphyat asked. Have no idea. But I heard you were involved in what happened that day, Murphyat said coldly, although you didn't have a chance to do anything before it was all over. Yes, it went fairly smoothly. I didn't want to take action, but I couldn't refuse him. He's my brother, and more importantly, he's the Emperor. The Emperor's orders must be obeyed. This is not like you, Count Murphy scoffed. If you wanted to refuse, you would have put a sword to his neck even if you were the emperor, but you didn't, which means this was your idea. It wasn't entirely my idea, but I had no reason to resist no matter what, let alone to draw my sword against the emperor, Zog said expressionlessly. You wonder how he could do such a thing, because you think he and Modia grew up together like brothers. But I am his brother. How could you expect me to do such a thing? Even just threaten him? Would you support whatever decision he makes, even if it's wrong? Whether it's right or wrong, is that something you can decide? Zog's tone turned cold. But this is clearly wrong. You know it perfectly well. Earl Murphy involuntarily raised his voice. Do you two brothers interpret this as a war between your Anchester family and the Ephron family? You struck first, won a great victory, and are now smugly basking in the glory of the victors, feeling that you have no need to feel even a shred of guilt towards the losers. Are you crazy? Zog frowned deeply, his face grim. Only you would dare say such things to me. If anyone else dared to say such things to me, they wouldn't have enough heads to chop off. Then tell me why? Count Murphy roared. Modia, Ephron, what do they do wrong? They've always been peaceful and loyal to you. Without them, how could your family be in this position now? That's the answer. Zog scoffed. Count Murphy was stunned. Almost everyone in this world thinks like you. The Ephron family is highly respected and peaceful. They are our Anchester family's benefactors. They made us who we are. If they had chosen someone else more than 200 years ago instead of us, this land would be ruled by another family. Zog smiled. That's right, all of that is true. Not to mention you. Even we ourselves think so. Therefore, they must die. Zog said coldly. The Ephron family has a history of over 1,000 years. They have been entrenched in this land for a long time, supporting more than 5 families as rulers. They themselves stand closest to these families as assistants, without taking the risks of the royal family, but enjoying a prestige that surpasses that of the royal family. They seem indifferent to worldly affairs, but in reality, they always prioritize the glory and survival of their own family, keeping a close eye on that red line. They don't care about the fate of the country and the royal family. In any case, even if the dynasty is overthrown and the royal family is wiped out, they can support a new royal family, establish a new dynasty, and continue to enjoy their transcendent status. If you were the ruler of this dynasty, how would you view them? Zog asked himself and answered, don't be stubborn. Even if you were indeed your and your family's benefactor, you would never thank them. Instead, you would wish to bring them down and kill them all. This is what we do. The kings and emperors of those dynasties in the past had the same idea, but they all failed. What was the consequence of their failure? They were deemed incompetent and tyrannical by the Ephron family, unworthy to continue ruling this land. They were trampled into the mud by their lofty prestige, because everyone worshipped the Ephrons. Everyone believed that they were right and could never be wrong. The only ones who were wrong were you who opposed them, and then your country would be destroyed and your family would perish, never to recover. This kind of story has been repeated many times on this land. Don't you find it familiar? Zog said with a smile. We are just another agent and person in charge that they have chosen. Once we want to move against them, or if there are internal or external troubles and the country is in turmoil, we will be abandoned by them and follow the old path of those royal families. We will become the dust of history with the infamy of being incompetent or tyrannical. Count Murphy was dumbfounded and couldn't utter a single word. So, you should understand now, right? Zog said. He and Modia are very close. Even now, he still considers Modia his best friend and closest brother. But he has to do this. It's not a conflict between the two of them, but an arrangement of fate. Even if the two families can live in peace in this generation, there's no guarantee that problems will arise in the next generation. Problems will always arise. Charles, don't blame me, and don't blame him. We are all pawns of fate. Born into this family and standing in this position, we have no choice. We really have no choice. We are really in pain. Zog spoke, tears streaming down his face. Count Murphy stared at him blankly, and suddenly felt that it would be better to die in a daze, filled with resentment, than to know the truth. What a disgusting fact. Chapter 178 Experiment. What we want is for the Ephron family to disappear from this world completely, but he still has old feelings and wants to preserve the last trace of Modia's bloodline. That girl from the Ephron family, her name is Ivisa, right? She's a slave now, and slaves don't have surnames, so she's no longer a member of the Ephron family. If she has any children in the future, they won't have the Ephron surname either. As long as she doesn't think about things she shouldn't think about, No one in this world can touch her. That's all he can do. After Zog finished speaking, he and Count Murphy fell into a long silence. After leaving the city lord's mansion, Perseus did not rush back to the count's mansion. He was all alone, about to do something he had long wanted to do, but had been delayed by various things. After exchanging enough gold coins, he went straight to the slave market. The slave market in Eagle Peak City is much larger than that in the capital, and it has a wider variety of slave types and races. It's so diverse that even two more eyes couldn't take it all in. Unlike bars and brothels, slave markets, though also bustling and chaotic, are orderly. Although people haggle loudly and argue heatedly, no one dares to draw their fists or brandish knives or guns. Even the most ordinary-looking stall owner here is a formidable character that most people wouldn't dare to mess with. Some of them came from ruthless criminal gangs. Some are the black gloves of powerful and influential chambers of commerce, doing things for them that they cannot do in the name of the Chamber of Commerce. Even a lone individual can possess the formidable strength to easily take a life. Of course, for businesses like the slave trade to be incredibly profitable, all three types of people need official backing and must pay sufficient protection money to local figures like Robert. Otherwise, they simply cannot gain a foothold here. Perseus's purchase of slaves this time was not for their beauty or to experience the unique characteristics of other races, but rather to buy slaves with a certain level of power. These slaves were in high demand and short supply, and ordinary slave traders had no chance of getting their hands on them. They were all controlled by big traders with terrifyingly powerful backgrounds. The price of a slave is determined by multiple factors: gender, age, race, health status, and degree of beauty or ugliness, etc. Whether it's the first time selling, whether it's been resold, how many times it's changed hands, whether anyone has handled it before, and to what extent will all affect the price. If we only consider the above factors, the price can't be too high. For around 100 gold coins, with limited fluctuations, you can immediately take home a brand new or almost brand new beautiful beast-eared girl. However, if it's a healthy, strong, and somewhat subhuman man, the price will be even higher. The reason is simple. Female slaves without special abilities, no matter how beautiful, can only do housework or sex. However, strong demi-human men can be used as laborers to earn more gold coins, and when necessary, they can also act as thugs or bodyguards to ensure your personal safety. However, if a beautiful demi-human female slave is paired with impressive magic or swordsmanship, her price will skyrocket, even reaching tens of thousands of gold coins. Like that elven adventurer Sophia, with her peculiar hobbies, she is beautiful, has a stunning figure, and more importantly, she is a 6th-level mage. If someone could capture her and sell her, the place of sale would not be this kind of slave market, but a high society auction where the wealthy and powerful would be willing to spend a fortune for her. For a 6th-tier mage, even hundreds of thousands of gold coins might not be enough to stop the attack. It's important to understand that this level of strength is enough to influence the balance of power between nations, and the value it can create is immeasurable in monetary terms. However, auctions that can sell such goods may only happen once every few years. Perseus could not afford that much money, but he also did not need to buy such expensive slaves. He only wanted to use this slave to test his slave-taming system, to see if planting and removing the slave mark would cause the system to recognize that the slave was no longer his, and whether the acquired abilities would completely disappear. Considering that newly purchased slaves generally have low obedience and limited strength improvement, and given his own financial constraints, his target was a 2nd-tier female slave with a soft and easygoing personality and decent looks. If you're lucky, you should be able to get it for under 500 gold coins. With his target in mind, he ignored the slaves of the small merchants on the outer perimeter and went straight to the core area of the slave market. In this area, the quality and price of slaves are incomparable to those in the outer areas. Once there, Perseus slowed down and went from house to house, examining each cage one by one. He noticed that the slaves here were much more resilient than those outside. The slaves outside are cheap, but they are either unattractive or good-looking, but their bodies and minds have been ruined, or they are sickly and on the verge of death. He visited 2 different places and looked at dozens of female slaves, but he was not satisfied with any of them. His eyes lit up the moment he entered the 3rd store. In the 6th cage on the right was a cat-eared girl with a haggard appearance, a melancholy demeanor,